called conflict resolution in personal and working relationships.
Right.
And how it works is this. I can give you a preview of it here.
Okay.
Ask yourself some questions. There's more to it than this, but this is one of the... First of all, isolate the relationships involved.
Okay.
For example, if you're fighting with your wife and
Right.
she's, maybe you're temporarily separated, but you have a daughter.
Okay.
Don't spoil your relationship with the daughter just because you're having trouble with your wife.
True.
Okay, and now we have to ask ourselves, is there a relationship involved? Sometimes there's no relationship involved. Like road rage is a ridiculous case. You don't know the guy, he's a stranger.
True.
We have a slogan, we say, save your energy, fight with those people who really love you. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, that's true though, yeah. But it's something easier, isn't it, just to get angry with a stranger, especially in cars, because there's no face to get angry with, is that right?
That's because it's an excuse. You haven't maintained your psychological health well enough, so it's like a pressure cooker and there's no valve, and then you keep bursting here and there, and it's very, very bad. It's a sign of many other things unresolved within your life.
Okay.
So now you have to ask yourself whether a relationship is involved. Then ask yourself, is it a working relationship?
Okay.
Or is it a personal one?
Right.
Or is it both? Imagine it's your wife and you're both working in the same company. You could have a little more difficulty. That requires a lot of maturity.
Sure, yeah.
Now, how do you understand whether or not the relationship is mutual?
Okay.
You have to ask yourself some questions. First, ask yourself, do I respect that person?
Okay.
Do I care for that person?
Okay.
Do I want this relationship with the person? Do I want to establish it? Do I want to continue it? Or do I want to terminate it?
Okay.
These questions have nothing to do with the issue in front of you. The details of the problem are not relevant.
Okay.
Then you ask yourself the same set of questions for the other person. Does that person respect me? Does that person care for me? Does that person want this relationship with me, to establish it, to maintain it, or to terminate it? Having established that, then you have to seek commitment from that person to the relationship. And you should be equally committed as well. And this is where the root of the problem really is. People don't communicate, and we have insecurity.
True.
Sometimes we hurt our loved one because we want to see if they get hurt, that means they care for us.
I'm sure there's a lot of couples out there who have probably never even dared to ask each other the questions on this one sheet.
They do, up till the time they get married. And then they've got no time to talk.
That's true, yes.
So we suggest you spend 1 hour once a week for a permanent meeting at a park outside your home, outside your office, say 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Wednesday at that park. Even if one party can't make it because of a meeting, it doesn't matter. Sit there and write a letter to him, so that time belongs to your relationship. And you should talk only about the relationship, not about any problem.
Well, it's like that joke I've always heard, like, my wife and I have a fantastic marriage. Every week we take one night off, we go out for a nice dinner, candle lit, to have a nice conversation. I do it on Mondays, she does it on Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's...
So I think you need to do the same day. That's the important thing, isn't it?
Well, together. We have to communicate, because if you don't give time to it, even if it's once a month or once a week, but it's something to look forward to, and if something troubles you, you can write it in your diary and say, okay, I'll talk to him at that time. You don't have to blast him in front of your husband or your wife.
Don't leave it all boiling up and then in one go, because so many sort of conflict. Oh, and remember last week you didn't do, and it's
20 years history comes up.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay. So now, only if the answer is yes to both the questions, then you have a mutual relationship.
Okay.
Then you can talk about solving the conflict.
Right.
If there's no mutual relationship, then there is no problem, in a sense. Why is this so? It is worth taking the trouble to resolve, because the fruit of that effort will be a stronger and healthier relationship.
True.
So because you want to be my friend and I want to be your friend, therefore it's worth us confronting each other to talk about the problem. But first the relationship is established. But supposing you don't give a damn whether I'm your friend or not, and I want to come and bring the thing and explain myself to you, then I'm wasting my time. So in that situation where there's no mutual relationship, then what we should do is go work on getting the pain out of your heart, talk to a friend who cares about you, and blame yourself for having built up these false expectations from that person. Because why should you expect everybody to care for you like your best friend?
True.
And then what you do, you reorganize your feelings towards that person, understanding there's no mutual relationship. Then you shouldn't let that person have the joy of seeing you upset. Just keep it inside, let it out somewhere else where you need it.
True. Wow. Okay, actually it's so difficult though, isn't it, to go unless you really live by that doctrine. When you're actually at the point, you have to really try and run through that.
That's why now I'll repeat the whole system that we're teaching you is, first of all, understand anger just sits in my mind. Let me at least keep quiet and let me not do anything damaging to my own self-respect or to the relationship. Keep quiet. Now somewhere else, start introspecting and working out. And if you go through this slideshow while you're upset, it will calm you down. It'll separate everything and it'll help your intelligence to come back on top.
Wow.
That's what it does. And then you can separate your thoughts from your feelings, acknowledge them, and then you can write a nasty letter to the person if you want, but don't give it to him, keep it for 3 days, and don't think about it, and after 3 days you review it and take all the anger out of it, and then see what is the issue really.
Right.
So you can learn to introspect. So this is an external tool that will help you to search within, and after a while, if you keep doing it with this search, after a while you'll be able to do it without, and you'll be able to observe and understand, now my mind is taking control, now my intellect is coming on top.
Wow. So, I mean, you know, everybody obviously, when they watched that movie, Anger Management,
yes.
Did you see the film, actually?
I did when I was on a flight in
Yes. You know, do any of the concepts in that, the theories really work, you know? Because in that movie, I think it was, they were trying to push him so far over to try and stop a person from just getting, you know, up to that stage of getting angry in the first place.
Yes.
You know, I don't think that's really the sort of way you should approach things, is it?
I don't know. I think it's very humorous. Maybe it has some idea, but it's never been something that I do. I'm just trying to tell people, you know, something like this famous old saying, above all else to thine own self be true.
Right.
Even before you can be honest with God, you should be honest with yourself. And we teach people how to search. There is a little poem here, if I may.
Yes, do.
This would help a person to search within. We say, go and sit down quietly, and apart from spending time with your people who are like your wife or your somebody important in your life, spend time with yourself. Sit down for half an hour once a week with a diary and write. And this helps people to open up. Most people are afraid to spend time with themselves, I found, by counseling them. They just don't want to. Only when they have a problem, then they seek somebody's help.
Right.
So this is a very beautiful poem. Don't be fooled by me. Don't be fooled by the face I wear. For I wear 1,000 masks, masks that I'm afraid to take off, and none of them is me. Pretending is an art that is second nature with me, but don't be fooled. For God's sake, don't be fooled. And it goes on.
Wow.
It tells us how to take those masks down and how to be really who we are.
Wow.
And we should do that in a private,
We should, actually.
isolated place, but we should also know how to put the masks back on when we get there.
True, that's true. But I mean, a lot of people, especially, I mean, I do keep coming back to the fact that, especially in Asia, a lot of people have trouble, you know, opening. I mean, it's a cultural thing, really. You know, people don't really sort of let their, you know, it's always, oh, if I'm feeling something, I should keep it in, you know.
And what I did, because we're from a local Asian family, so we had difficulty also trying to open communication channels. When I began to realize that much of the problem is just that we don't talk, so small things build up. And I'm a Singaporean actually, so we grew up near the nature reserve, Macritchie. It's a very beautiful jungle area, and I used to go for walks there regularly. Then I would try to bring my father and my mother and my brother with me to go for the walk. And recently I recommended it about a year ago to a friend of mine. He said, my son is about 15 years old now. I'm afraid he's going further away from me. We don't talk much anymore. So I told him, I said, once a week, just take your son for a walk. He said, but I don't know what to talk to him. He said, don't talk, just keep doing the walk thing, and eventually he'll become your friend, he'll open up to you. And after a few weeks it did.
Wow.
And later they started playing golf together.
Gosh. So I mean, that actually, I mean, when you run your sort of...
I can put it to you this way. If you think most of us, who's your best friend? He's the guy whom you spent maybe 5 years together in the same classroom, because you were together, and it's all the free time in between the periods that you are together. So therefore, your relationship grew, and you had a few knocks, but you mended it, and then it became stronger.
Right.
But here we don't make time for that. So one little knock, and that's the end of the relationship, because there was no commitment to it in the first place.
Yeah.
So what we say, and if you go through the slideshow, it says, don't enter into relationships whimsically. Be sure that it's a mutual relationship, and then spend your energy maintaining it.
Right.
And there are a lot of guidelines that are in here. But
fantastic. All right. So just before we go, what's the address again?
Oh yes, the
I think it's here actually.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, there we go. So if you'd like to get more information, you can make sure you visit the group. It's, the group's homepage. It's www.yahoo-groups.com/group/anger-MGT. It's anger MGT. I don't know if we can. Anyway, and we'll put it up in the super later.
Public lecture. We'll be doing a free public lecture presenting this entire presentation on the first Monday of every month, starting on the 4th of July. That will be at the Safety Driving School opposite Asia Jaya LRT station.
Okay, so that's the first Monday of every month. So when's the next one actually coming up?
On the 4th of July.
The 4th of July.
8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, and there is ample parking and all that kind of thing there,
yes,
right?
Because it's a driving school, so there's lots of space for parking.
True, because otherwise I can imagine all the people going for anger management class who can't find parking. That might not be a good move.
Yes, those people, we'll recommend them to volunteer for the third Monday. Third Mondays we have a support group.
Right, okay. Right, thank you so much for coming on the show this morning. Thank you very much. All right, and don't go away just yet. We'll be back with a whole lot more from The Breakfast Show.